Okay, geotrig. We are now moving on to logarithms, and what we're going to do is we're going to do part one. Part one is just all about switching. So we are going to switch from one form to the other, and part of your homework, it's going to seem like a lot. It's a part of a worksheet, and it's got 40 problems, but I don't want you to do all 40, but we'll get to that at the end because these do actually go pretty quick. I want you to do a bunch of them so that you get used to this idea that it's okay for you guys to switch from one form to the other. So, what we have here, guys, is that I'm hoping you guys remember we talked about exponential form before. So, exponential form, you guys remember, is that you have some kind of base, and that base, what they're going to do here, is going to call b, is b to some power L is equal to a value of n. So you could have 2 to the third power, and 2 to the third power equals 8. That is fine. We've dealt with that before. We've done those things. But here's a cool thing, is that these two forms here, exponential form and what we're going to call logarithmic form, that has logs, as you can see, is that logs and exponential forms are basically interchangeable when you change their numbers in their forms. They're actually kind of inverses of each other. So therefore, we'll get to that later on when you're solving and doing some things. But logs technically are fun ways of using or showing exponents. Sorry, because look, where's L? L is an exponent up here. But if I go over here, L is not an exponent anymore. It's equal to L. So this thing right here, log base b of n, is actually the exponent that goes on b. That makes it equal n. So, interchangeable, just got to look. I got the same variables and everything. The difference is this one has a log in front. So log base b of n equals L. Log base b of n equals L. Now sometimes they do say that is the logarithm of n to the base b, which will equal L. I generally will say log base 5, so we may have something like log base 5 of 3, not do 3, let's do 125, equals 3. That's because, now sometimes some people may have learned this as kind of the loop-de-loop, that if I'm going from logs to exponentials, it's a little bit easier, because now to write this log base 5 of 125 equals 3 as an exponent, I need to find b, which is 5. And then I find that it's b to the L power. Well, L was what it was equal to, so it's 5. And then I'll change colors here to show this. It's 5 to the 3 equals 125. So it's 5 to the third power equals 125. And so that's how I'm going to switch. So I could switch from log form to exponential, or exponential to log form. Now you notice I have two columns here. The first column, they're all exponentials. The second column, they are all logs. And so I would like you to switch. I don't want you to solve. I don't care what the variables are. Some of those variables are going to be something kind of obvious for us, and then the others are not going to be very obvious. And eventually we will get to the point where we're going to be able to solve for all of those. So let's talk about the first one here. The first one is 4 equals 3 to the power of y. Now I got to switch that because that's an exponential form. I got to put that into log form. So right away I'm going to start off with log. And then I look here and say, look, what's the base? The base doesn't change. The base is still a base. So the base is log base 3. And if you look up here, that it becomes n. N is what it's supposed to be equal to, whoops, here. And so therefore, it's log base 3 of 4 will equal y, which was the exponent. So log base 3 of 4 equals y is the same thing as 3 to the y equals 4. Now let's go down the column. So that means I can do log base n, because my base is an n, to the of 2 equals 1/3. Now, in the last problem, I think people would probably say, hey, I know what the answer for y is. Y should be 2. But that's, again, not what I'm asking for. I want to know to switch it. So log base 4 of 16 equals y. And that is going to be how you're going to switch. So you'll have about 10 problems that you're going to have to switch in your homework from exponential form to their log forms. Now I'll go to the second column. Now I think these are actually a little bit easier. I'm going to give you another 10 of these in your homework. So tonight's homework should go pretty quick. And so now to switch this, remember that we're going to do the loop-de-loop trick, and that you're going to start with the base. You're going to rotate and say bring it to the power of what it equals, and then set it equal to the number inside. So x to the m equals 4. That's it. So it's not too bad. Try the next one on your own here. 2 looped to the third power equals n. Now, for now, guys, we're going to leave it as 2 to the third power equals n, but you should really know that 2 to the third power is equal to 8. And the last problem that we're going to talk about here today is p to the second power equals 4. And so that's what I wanted you guys to do. That is your homework. Now, one last thing I'm going to do for us here in our notes is talk about the 2 different types of logs that we use. Because if I ask you to start to put any of these on a calculator, you can't do that. Most calculators, at least scientific calculators, some of our nice graphing calculators can actually do some different bases, but a lot of them only deal with log base 10 and then log base e. So log base 10, because they like to use base 10 a lot. Actually, all of our numbers in our numbering system are base 10. Think about decimal places. You have a ones digit. Your ones digit is really times 10 to the 0 power. Or, yes, to the ones digit. The hundreds digit, or the tens digit, sorry, is 10 to the first power. Now, if you guys are picturing this, if I put a decimal point right there, and I go ones, tens, hundreds, that's ones, tens, 100s. Well, that's 10 to the 0, that's 10 to the first, that's 10 squared, and then I go to 1,000, that'd be 10 to the third. We're in base 10. And if I go this way, that'd be 0.1, that's really 10 to the negative 1 power. So this is all of base 10. Our numbering system is in base 10. So since we use that a lot, we drop out the little 10 and we just use log x. So log base 3 is really log base 10 of 3. Same thing over here. They use natural log a lot, or log base e, and that is called natural log because e is a naturally occurring number, just like pi, and so they use ln of x. That's not in, that's ln of x. So you're going to find your homework. The homework is on Power School Learning, so homework is on Power School Learning. I want 10. We'll say of each type switching. And it is laid out on Power School Learning. It's in parentheses after the hyperlink to the worksheet. So therefore, please don't choose the first 10 or the last 10 of a group. I would possibly do every third problem, so do a problem, count 2 in between. Do something because there are 40 problems available for you to do, 20 of each type, so just do about 10 of each. Because that way it'll get you some nice practice. As you can see, we did 6 of them together and it went really well. Have a great day.